Timothée Chalamet walked into this year's award season as the most decorated actor of his generation. He won the Golden Globe. He won the Critics' Choice Award. He broke a record held by Warren Beatty for 58 years, and then, on the one night that actually mattered, in front of the entire industry, he lost. Again. For the third time in his career. Today we're breaking down exactly what happened. The very specific reason insiders say cost him the win, and the 4 words a lip reader claims he whispered right before his name wasn't called. Let's start with just how stacked this year actually was, because it matters for everything that follows. Chalamet was nominated for Best Actor at the 98th Academy Awards for his performance as Marty Mauser in Josh Safdie's Marty Supreme, a live-wire cocksure turn as a table tennis hustler clawing his way toward greatness by any means necessary. The category around him was, by nearly every account, one of the strongest in recent Oscar history. Michael B. Jordan for his dual performance as twins Smoke and Stack in Ryan Coogler's Sinners. Leonardo DiCaprio for Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. Best Picture winner. Paul Thomas Anderson himself said on stage that the field reminded him of the legendary 1976 Oscar lineup, the year that included One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Jaws, and Nashville, all competing at once. Going into the ceremony, Chalamet was widely considered the front-runner. He had already won the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy on January 11th, a genuinely historic win, making him the youngest actor ever to claim that award. He'd also picked up the Critics' Choice Award and the Satellite Award along the way. Most Oscar prognosticators had him pegged to win. Then came March 1st, and the SAG Awards, now rebranded as the Actor Awards, delivered the first real shock of the season. Michael B. Jordan pulled off a surprise win for Sinners, one day after also taking home the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actor, where he emotionally dedicated the trophy to his late Black Panther co-star, Chadwick Boseman. Suddenly, the race that looked settled was anything but. On Oscar night itself, Michael B. Jordan won. Chalamet, now a 3-time Best Actor nominee, walked away with nothing for the 3rd time in his career. Here's what makes that number worth sitting with for a second. His first nomination came in 2018 at just 22 years old for Call Me By Your Name, making him the 3rd youngest Best Actor nominee in Academy history. His second came for playing Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. His 3rd was this year for Marty Supreme. 3 nominations, 3 losses. He has never won, but here's the detail almost nobody talks about, and it's genuinely remarkable. This year, Chalamet wasn't just nominated for acting. He was also nominated as a producer on Marty Supreme for Best Picture, alongside Eli Bush, Ronald Bronstein, Josh Safdie, and Anthony Katagas. At 30 years and 26 days old, that made him the youngest person in Academy history to be nominated for both acting and producing in the same year, breaking a record that had stood for 58 years, held by Warren Beatty since his double nomination for Bonnie and Clyde in 1967. Best Picture also didn't go to Marty Supreme, it went to One Battle After Another. Chalamet went home with 2 nominations and 0 wins in a single night. If you're finding this as fascinating as we are, this is a great time to subscribe. We break down the real stories behind Hollywood's biggest names every single week, and the reason he actually lost is where this story gets genuinely interesting. So why did the front-runner lose? Entertainment writers who covered the race closely point to something surprisingly specific: the character itself. Marty Mauser, even by the admission of the film's biggest fans, is not a good person. He's selfish, manipulative, and by the end of the film, depending on how you read it, close to irredeemable in his obsessive pursuit of table tennis stardom. That alone shouldn't have been disqualifying. Oscar voters have rewarded plenty of despicable characters before. Michael Douglas won for playing Gordon Gekko. Denzel Washington won for playing a dirty cop in Training Day. Forrest Whitaker won for playing a genocidal dictator. Playing a bad guy has never been the problem at the Oscars. The bigger issue, according to multiple entertainment outlets covering the campaign, was Chalamet's own public persona during the press tour. Prior to Marty Supreme, he had built a reputation as confident but grounded, someone who came across as genuine and unpretentious in interviews. During this campaign, according to reporting from Slash Film and other outlets, he appeared to lean into Marty Mauser's brash, self-assured energy in his own public appearances, and it didn't land the same way off-screen as it did on it. Combined with a genuinely stacked field of veteran performers playing morally complicated roles that connected more directly with voters' emotions, it added up to a loss that surprised almost no one by the time the envelope actually opened. And then there's the moment right before the loss became official, the one that turned into its own headline. According to a lip reader hired by the Daily Mail to analyze footage from the ceremony, Chalamet turned to his partner Kylie Jenner in the audience shortly before the Best Actor announcement and said, "I hate this." Jenner reportedly responded, "We're all right, okay." Chalamet allegedly answered that he was going to need a big cuddle that night. Neither Chalamet's team nor Jenner's has ever commented on the accuracy of that reading, and lip-reading analysis is far from a precise science, so it's worth treating as an unconfirmed claim rather than fact. But if it's even roughly accurate, it captures something real about what these nights actually feel like from the inside, stripped of the composed red carpet smile. What makes Chalamet's response to all of this genuinely compelling is how he's chosen to talk about it publicly, and he's been talking about it for years now, not just after this loss. Accepting his Golden Globe back in January, before the Oscar loss even happened, he referenced his own history of walking away empty-handed. He said his father instilled in him a spirit of gratitude growing up, always be grateful for what you have, and that it had allowed him to leave ceremonies in the past empty-handed with his head held high. He said losing made this particular win, his very first Golden Globe after 4 previous nominations, that much sweeter. That's a strange kind of consistency for someone this young to have built. He has now been nominated 4 times at the Golden Globes, 6 times at the BAFTAs, and 3 times at the Oscars, and for most of his career the story was the same every single time. Recognized, celebrated, ultimately passed over. Entertainment writers covering his career have started to suggest something worth sitting with. Losing might actually be better for him long term. He's still only 30 years old. He has, according to Academy history, already lost his shot at becoming the youngest Best Actor winner of all time, a record that still belongs to Adrian Brody. But he has decades left. Leonardo DiCaprio, his own on-screen mentor figure, and the man who reportedly told him early in his career to avoid hard drugs and superhero movies, lost the Oscar repeatedly for years before finally winning for The Revenant. The narrative of the actor who deserved it and kept almost getting it has, historically, aged into some of the most respected careers in the industry. Chalamet swept nearly every precursor award this season. Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, Satellite Award, a historic double nomination that broke a 58-year-old record. And on the one night where all of that was supposed to add up to something permanent, he walked out with nothing, for the 3rd time, still one of the most awarded losers in modern Oscar history. That is the real story behind the loss, and why it might matter less than anyone thinks. If you want more breakdowns like this one, the next video is already waiting for you. Go watch it now. We will see you there.